Hello peeps, it's the Hillbilly Halfwit. How's it going? And what we're going to address today is the Nathan Gill story. Of course, it's all over the media and I couldn't not say anything about it. And so I've gone through in detail what's happened. Lots of politicians seem to be trying to blame the Reform Party about it all. And he was, for a short time, the leader of the Reform Party in Wales, but not for long. And as soon as they found out what had happened, what he'd done in 2016, he was chucked out of the party. So, and he wasn't even a member. But anyway, we'll go through this in detail, see what happened, and then see what you think after, because I think there's a bit of a campaign against reform here by all the other parties. So let's get going. Please comment, rate and subscribe, and hype the video if you can. So this is what I think. Let me make one thing absolutely clear from the start. I don't support Nathan Gill. I don't like Nathan Gill. And Reform UK had nothing to do with what he did. But the way this case has been twisted by the Prime Minister and by Welsh Labour and Plaid Cymru and the Lib Dems, the Greens, and large parts of the Welsh media, it's something every voter in Wales needs to understand. Because what's happened wasn't politics. It was a coordinated smear against the Reform UK party, and possibly something worse. Let's take a look at this step by step. So section 1, let's see what he got up to. What Nathan Gill actually did wrong. Between 2018 and 2019, Nathan Gill was a UKIP MEP and then briefly a Brexit Party MEP. Reform UK did not exist at that time. During this period, Gill accepted around £40,000 from a Ukrainian politician connected to Russian interests, and in return, he tabled motions, asked parliamentary questions, made statements, attended events, and did media appearances that supported a pro-Russia political narrative. Well, if you know, around that time, this was before the Ukraine-Russia war started, there was a Russian TV channel called RT, and Nathan Gill was on that. And lots of other people were on that as well, from Nicola Sturgeon to loads of them. Loads of other MPs was on there, but he got paid for being on that show, and that's why he's been done. Because he's talked about similar things then and attended events, and they've used that money he received for being on that show to call it a bribery. So that's why he's been done. That is why he's been convicted of bribery. To be absolutely clear, Gill was not prosecuted for appearing on RT, which is a Russian television program. And as the war, I think, started, RT was banned in the UK. But before, it wasn't banned when he was on it. Gill was not prosecuted for doing media on the same channel. Gill was not prosecuted for any link to Reform UK. He was prosecuted for taking secret money for political actions while holding elected office. That's corruption, full stop. So he's been done for that. Section 2, what was not illegal? Now here's the bit the media won't tell you. Appearing on RT or any Russian-linked channel back then was fully legal. RT was allowed in the UK and EU, and 112 Ukraine was allowed. So it wasn't banned back then. It was only banned after the war started. And dozens of British MPs, MSPs and public figures went on RT channel, including Nicola Sturgeon, Alex Salmond, George Galloway, Ken Livingstone, Diane Abbott, and Conservative MPs. I've seen Plaid Cymru MPs, I've seen Welsh Labour MPs on there. When it was, before it was banned, it was about all over the internet. Some were paid for their appearances, some were not. It was normal political media long before the Ukraine war. So Gill's media appearances were not a crime. The crime was taking the money as an MEP, not as a guest. Section 3, the important timeline correction. Yes, years later, around 20 to 21, Gill did briefly become the Welsh leader of Reform UK. But the bribery, the payments, the misconduct all happened years before that, before Reform UK existed, before any reform structure was built. So Reform UK had no involvement. Reform UK had no knowledge. Reform UK gained nothing. Reform UK condemned him instantly. And the judge in this court case, the judge said the case was not about Reform UK. These are all facts and not opinions. Section 4. What the Prime Minister did at the dispatch box. And now we get into the disgusting part. Despite the judge saying clearly that Nathan Gill case had nothing to do with the Reform UK party, the Prime Minister stood up in Parliament and pushed the same false line, implied reform was linked to Russia, used parliamentary privilege to avoid accountability, and didn't allow the Reform leader any immediate right of reply. This is the abuse of Parliament. Parliamentary privilege is meant to protect truth, not protect political smears. The PM plainly misled the public. He misled Parliament, and he did it during an election period. That is not leadership. That is what failing governments do when they fear a rising party. Section 5. The coordinated smear script. Within hours of the conviction, the following groups all pushed the same narrative, word for word. Welsh Labour, Plaid Cymru, Liberal Democrats, Welsh Greens, Nation Cymru, BBC Wales commentators, independent anti-reform accounts, activist groups during the Caerphilly by-election. All claiming reform as a Russia problem, reform politician involved in Russian bribery, far-right Russian influences. Even though Gill's bribery happened before reform existed, before he ever touched reform, years before he briefly led the Welsh wing, and the judge rejected the link entirely. This was not coincidence, this was messaging. Coordinated, aligned, synchronized to smear a rising political party. Section 6. When does this become illegal under UK law? And here's the key question. Is a political smear illegal? No, unfortunately. Political lies are legal, but here's what is illegal. A coordinated campaigning that is not declared. So, coordinated campaigning that is not declared. If different parties or groups coordinate messaging, share strategy, share scripts, share funding, run joint campaigns, attack one party as a bloc, they must legally declare that combination. If they don't, that breaches the Political Parties, Elections and Referendum Act, PPERA. It can be a criminal offence. B. When using public money to push party political messaging, if Welsh government-funded media or groups funded through grants push that narrative during an election period without declaring it, that is illegal. That breaches the Ministerial Code, the Civil Service Code and election law. C. Coordinated anti-reform activity in Caerphilly. The Caerphilly by-election showed multiple groups acting in unison, undeclared third-party messaging, anti-reform scripts repeated identically, no visible registration of these groups, no spending returns are yet put in, deeply suspicious timing. If that activity involved money and was coordinated, again, that may be illegal under UK election law. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is electoral law in black and white. So the spending returns are still not in from the Caerphilly by-election. So if these groups were spending more than £700 between them, all of them, or they were not registered separately, they broke election law in Caerphilly. Because they should be campaigning as one group. Section 7, final conclusion. Nathan Gill broke the law. He acted alone. He acted years before reform existed. His wrongdoings belong to his name, not reforms, and the judge made that very clear. And remember, this was before the Ukraine war even started. There was a bit of a war between Russia and Ukraine in 2014. Then that stopped, and this was in between that. So he's had 10.5 years, which is pretty harsh, to be fair. But the establishment, Welsh Labour, Plaid, the Lib Dems and Greens, friendly media outlets, and even the Prime Minister all push the same false narrative at the same time. This wasn't debate, this wasn't opinion, this wasn't journalism. This was a coordinated political smear against Reform UK. And if public money, undeclared groups or coordinated spending were used to do it, then we are looking at a possible breach of UK election law, right at the heart of Welsh and UK politics. That is the real story, and that's why people are waking up. So, there we are. Now, of course this chap has done wrong, and he's been had for it. But I just want to show you here, this is only a small amount of the people that were doing the same thing. So Nicole Sturgeon, Alex Salmon, George Galloway, Ken Livingstone, Diane Abbott, and other Conservative MPs. And there's quite a few Conservative MPs have been done for being allegedly bribed by China as well. And there's been some Labour MPs who've been done about 2 months ago for actually spying for China. And that is fact. So I'm not keen on Nathan Gill. I've nothing to do with him. But if you want all the facts, these are the facts. The guy's got 7 children, from what I understand. And he's going to prison for 10.5 years for taking a bribe. And whatever you think of it, there's what happened. Now, I think this is a bit harsh on the guy, to be honest with you, but I would think out of anybody, because if you can rape a girl these days or whatever and get nothing. But if a certain load of political people from parties from the establishment decide to make your case and use it as an attack on another political party, which I think this is, especially when he's not involved in it, and as soon as the Reform Party found out, they sacked him. So there we are. That's Gazza's totally unbiased look at this, and how possibly, if all these media organisations and all these parties are working together to push an incorrect assumption that Reform UK are attached to Russia, which is completely wrong. Farage has even said they should be shooting the planes down if they attack areas. So he's not pro-Russia at all. The only thing he ever said, he was asked a question years and years back what he thought of Putin, and he said he thought he was a good leader because he kept on top of his country. That's the only reason. It was just, you know, that's the only thing that they say about Farage that he said all these years ago. And if you said that about Trump now, they'd say the same thing because nobody likes Trump. So, by the way, I'm not keen on Putin neither. So, I'm pro-Israel. I'm not very keen on Palestine. I'm not very keen on Muslim religion, because I think it basically wants to stop all other religions. I'm pretty open with all religions, but that one certainly wants to remove a lot of the Jewish religion, to be fair. But there we are. That's another thing, isn't it? So these are the facts. Hope you can see I've gone through it all in detail. All the best, Gaz.